The Florida Gators have no chance to win 6 games this season. I think that the writing is already on the wall for Billy Napier. I expect him to get fired after this season. Now, the reason why I don't see Florida not being able to be bowl eligible has nothing to do with talent, because from a talent standpoint, they got a really good squad. But the problem with me when it comes to the Florida Gators has never really been their lack of talent. It's always been the coaching. And with Billy Napier, he is going to once again be calling the plays on offense. And his play calling was under a lot of scrutiny from Florida Gators fans. And after last season concluded, one of the biggest questions of this offseason was going to be, was Billy going to hire an offensive coordinator? Was he going to continue to call the plays? Well, in the interview that he did with Josh Pate, he confirmed to us all that he's still going to be calling the plays. So that means that the poor play calling is still going to be there. So there's no reason to expect this offense to be better than what it has been the last couple of years under Billy Napier's play calling. So that's one reason why I can't see Florida winning 6 games. The second reason is the bad game management. Billy Napier is either too damn aggressive or he's too conservative in certain situations. He just doesn't have a good feel for the game, in my opinion. And then oftentimes his teams, they don't look prepared. They're heavily penalized. They're undisciplined. You got Arson Armstrong, who his first year as defensive coordinator last year, let's just be honest, it was rough. There were a lot of blown coverages, and there's only so many things that having a talented team can fix. And it doesn't matter how good you are at utilizing the transfer portal. Florida brings in a top 5 class. They've recruited at a pretty decent level, but it doesn't matter how much talent you have if you don't have the right coach to put those guys in positions to succeed. That's why Billy Napier finds himself on the hot seat right now. And listen, Florida's schedule is the toughest in college football this year. There's only about 2 games that you can look at and say, yeah, these are guaranteed wins. And I'm not talking about the games that you look at and say, oh, yeah, they might be able to win. I'm talking about look at Florida's schedule right now and point out 2 guaranteed W's. I can only point out Sanford and on the road against Mississippi State. And every other game is up for grabs. Like, you could beat Miami week 1. I'm not ruling it out. I would give you a 40% chance to win that game out of 100 because you're playing at home. But Miami is the vastly more superior team from a talent standpoint. They've out-recruited you. They've been better in the portal than you. But, you know, with you playing in the swamp, we've seen Billy Napier in the past pull off big wins early like he did a few years ago against Utah. You got to play Texas A&M. Okay, that's a game that I probably would take Texas A&M to win. Mississippi State, as I said earlier, you should win that one. They aren't going to be that good. Then you got to play UCF in the Gus Bus after your bye. You could win that one. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a W for that one. So right now, Florida has 3 wins at this moment. You got to play Tennessee on the road and Rocky Top. I don't see you winning that game. Even though you do have a good track record of owning Tennessee, this year's Tennessee squad, I think they're good enough to make it into the college football playoffs this year. So that's an L. Kentucky, that's a game that could go either way. You know, I'll give you a win in that one. So now we have 4 wins. You're not beating Georgia. And then this is when your schedule gets absolutely brutal. On the road playing Texas and Austin, no chance. L. LSU, it depends how improved LSU's defense is. All right, we know that Billy Napier does have the ability that late in the season, you know, his teams, they'll stick around. They'll give you a dogfight. But in the end, with his terrible late game decision-making and terrible clock management, he'll still find a way to blow it in the end. So I'll still give it to LSU. I like Ole Miss to beat you. And then you possibly may be able to pick up the upset against Florida State on the road only because who they have at quarterback in DJ Uiagalelei. But listen, for you Florida fans that continue to call me biased because I'm a Hurricanes fan, like, I'm not being biased. Like, look at your schedule. I think the realistic Gator fans would understand just how dire of a situation this is for Billy Napier. I mean, I get it that, you know, Florida has a good team coming into this year. Your offensive line should be improved. Your defense should be improved because the talent is there. But Billy Napier hasn't shown the ability to maximize the talent that he has. Like, if you had Dan Mullen this year, Florida would be, without a doubt, a lock to win at least 7, 8 games. We wouldn't even be having this question about Florida if they're going to be bowl eligible with Dan Mullen. And I know that's a sour topic for you Florida fans to get on, because a lot of you guys despise Dan Mullen with all your guts. But one thing about Dan Mullen is that this dude was a fantastic offensive mind. He was outstanding play caller, one of the best play callers in college football. You can't take that away from Dan Mullen. You look at Billy Napier, the play caller between him and Dan Mullen is night and day. Can you imagine what Florida's offense could do this year with the Elijah Badger, Eugene Wilson, Graham Mertz, with Dan Mullen calling the plays? Like, oh my goodness. Like, Florida's offense would eat if Dan Mullen was the head coach calling plays this year, but he's not. You got Sunbelt Billy. You can call me a hater, but these are valid concerns that you guys have a fan base have voiced on X, like all last season. I saw you guys complaining about the play calling. Hell, go on Billy Napier's Instagram page and go to his comment section. This dude can't even post beach pictures with his family without Florida fans saying, give up the play calling. Oh, you're so awful. Oh, you're so terrible. Like, listen, if this fan base is saying things like that about Billy Napier, me as an outsider, even though, like, Jacksonville is only, like, what, like an hour and some change away from Gainesville, like, listen, if y'all don't believe in this dude, why should I believe in this dude? You mean to tell me that a dude who is constantly getting called out for bad play calling, who still is calling the plays, by the way, who has terrible in-game decision-making, terrible game management, is going to be able to find a way to finesse 6 wins with college football's toughest schedule? Yeah, good luck with that. On the road against Tennessee and Rocky Top, you got to play Texas on the road. You playing Florida State on the road. Like, these are some really hostile environments. These are some of the toughest environments in college football to win. The only reason I think you can win that Florida State game is because DJ Uiagalelei is really inconsistent, and we know how weird these rivalry games can get. Okay, we know that you can never overlook a rivalry game only because of talent. You know, rivalry games are just different in college football. But for Billy Napier, in my opinion, man, I just don't see Florida getting the bowl eligibility under this dude. If he hired an offensive coordinator, then I would change my tune about him. But there's just too many issues that Florida has stemming from coaching that have absolutely nothing to do with talent. You can have the most talented team in college football and still underachieve. Look at Jimbo Fisher. They pretty much bought their recruiting classes and never did anything with it. You know, Billy Napier is a nice guy. I've been rooting for Billy Napier, and I still am rooting for him because I've watched more Billy Napier than what you Florida fans have. You guys don't know about Sunbelt Billy when he was coaching at Louisiana, Lafayette with the Raging Cajuns, and he was winning Sunbelt titles with Levi Lewis at quarterback and Elijah Mitchell at running back. Yeah, like, I've been following Sunbelt Billy for a while. But I've just been a little bit disappointed because his teams haven't had the same amount of execution and discipline at Florida as what he had with the Raging Cajuns. I just don't see a world where Florida ends up surprising us all. I think this is one of those rare instances where most of us, as a collective fan base of college football fans, look at a team and say, yeah, they're not going to be good. And they end up being as bad as expected because of the coaching. You're kind of looking at a Scott Frost situation. And I think that there are a lot of underlying similarities between Billy Napier and Scott Frost. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to get into it. I'm going to save that for next episode. But to me, I see that Billy Napier has already dug his grave. He doesn't want to give up the play calling. You know, his teams just aren't buttoned up when they play on Saturdays. I don't see them being able to pull off all these upsets with the nagging issues that they've had stemming from Billy Napier's coaching.